So I'm Laura. So I've just graduated from Plymouth University. Actually graduated last year, but so I joined Plymouth not really knowing what I wanted to do. I went into a marketing degree because I thought, well, I'm quite a creative person. I'm not hugely academic, but I sort of wanted to do something that was business orientated. So marketing was the course I chose, and I'm really glad I did choose it actually, because I've really thoroughly enjoyed the whole uni experience. The course I think is like fantastic. I couldn't really fault it. And I've just gradually evolved my like knowledge in marketing as each year went on, and found a different love of it. I think final year was when I actually realized, okay, strategic marketing is kind of what I enjoy the most. But yeah, I sort of just didn't know what I was doing at the start, but didn't really overthink it too much. And I think that's the key. It's quite hard sometimes when you don't know what you want to do. Sure. And there's so many different decisions you can make. But yeah, so I just sort of went with the flow, and here I am now. Amazing. Graduated and working.
Cool. So how did you find coming out of university last year and looking for graduate jobs? How did that process go for you? Did you go through a lot of interviews and things like that, or how did it go?
I feel like I wasn't searching for as long as a lot of people are, and that's purely just because I got the job through. So I'm working at BIC now, and I got that job through their partnership with Enactus. So at university, I was on the Enactus Society. Well, actually, I was only in the society during second year, but having that on my CV meant that I could get jobs with the partners that Enactus are with. So BIC was one of the partners. So I received a alumni email, sure. And from Enactus saying BIC's hiring. So I basically just sent my CV in, and this was actually the summer after I'd finished. So I hadn't actually graduated yet. So once I'd sent off my CV, it was just a CV application, and then I had a first interview once they like said, I want to hear about you more. And then I had once I got through the first phone call interview, I then had a in-office interview. Cool. So I went up to their office in West London and had a face-to-face one there. And then after that, I had another another phone call interview. They were going to ask me to come back into the office, but because I'm down and very south in the Isle of Wight, they said just do it over the phone because it was just easier. Okay. And from there, I heard back, and they were like, "Yeah, we'd love to take you on," which was really positive, and it all happened so fast. But actually, I don't feel like it's necessarily what always happens. I know a lot of people have been searching for a long time, and there's no problem with that. Like it's kind of like there's no right or wrong way to go about it.
Sure. How big is the BIC marketing team that you're working in at the moment?
You'll be surprised actually. It's really small. So well, I thought coming into BIC, I think my first impressions, they're a big, large company, and they are, but actually the UK and Ireland market is really small. And the whole UK and Ireland team, there's about 40 people, and that's across sales, marketing, finance, customer service. But in the marketing team, there's about 7 of us.
Wow,
so I report.
That's tiny.
Yeah, it's tiny.
Yeah.
So I report to I've got my line manager, and then above her is the whole marketing team manager. And then we've got, so I'm in charge of shavers and lighters for the UK and Ireland market. And then we've got the other side, the marketing team. So 3 of the girls, they're in charge of stationery. Yeah. Which is obviously the biggest market for BIC is stationery.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And then, so in that sense, it's only me and my line manager who solely focus and work on shaders and lighters. But that also is because it's a much smaller market, particularly lighters.
Sure. So you worked at Hewlett Packard Enterprise in your internship prior to that. So I guess that's I guess a completely different market, really. So what was the kind of, so I could imagine maybe there was different dynamics in the marketing team there in comparison to what you're doing now at BIC. So what would you say the main differences in terms of?
So I think the main difference that HPE is an IT infrastructure company. They're all IT based. They provide software, storage services. So it's a completely different market. And so for me, obviously, getting a placement job was like the main thing. My first thought was, I really want a placement job. It wasn't massively about the company or anything like that. And I think naively, I didn't really think about what I would actually be marketing.
Sure.
So the team was actually larger. So there was about 7 campaign managers, and then we had various other like roles and admin roles, and there was 2 interns, so me and another gal.
Sure.
And actually, like, so the team were older. So the company I'm in now, so BIC, but all in our 20s, late 20s as well. Whereas the team were older, so it was that's a different dynamic as well. So I was going in, I was 19. I was 19, and so I only really had my intern, like my side intern,
got it,
working on different things,
sure.
And then the intern cohort. So I think the main difference was that HPE is a sales orientated company. They're very heavy sales and not necessarily as much marketing, just for the awareness side of things. Whereas BIC's, FMCG, I feel like they're a lot more marketing company.
Sure.
So yeah, but it's all, I think in the sense that IT is not as interesting to me.
Got it.
It's harder to find a passion in a company that you're not like particularly interested in the product. So that's a huge thing that you sort of got to consider, which I didn't really think about. It sounds very obvious.
I mean, sometimes you get lost in like either the role itself, you think, and the opportunity and some of the things it offers, you forget about what you'll actually be selling, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
So
but yeah, it was good at HPE for placement, actually, because there was over 50 interns, which was crazy.
That is crazy.
It was like another uni experience.
Yeah.
It was very social, and that was really fun.
Sure.
But yeah.
How did you find so obviously Enactus kind of helped you out or it helped you to move into BIC. What were you doing at Enactus, and do you recommend it to people that are at uni now? And
Enactus is an incredible society to be part of. Like I couldn't actually recommend it enough. I think I initially joined Enactus for the fact that it was very entrepreneurial. You could be creative with it. You could start a new project that had never been created. You wouldn't know where it could potentially go. It's basically a not-for-profit organization where you have social economic development projects. So, for example, there was a huge problem of homelessness in Plymouth. So I know at one point, one of the projects was looking into how we can develop those who are homeless to have the skills to be employed, or go into an interview with a suit, as simple as that is. I wasn't actually ever in the Enactus projects, which I actually wish I was now. I was always the marketing for the Enactus projects, which obviously I enjoyed. But I think definitely try and get involved in the project, because it's such a great experience. Like the things you can do, there's endless opportunities. I know Enactus has grown massively now. Sharina, she's taken a huge role in keeping that going.
Amazing.
Yeah, and so also obviously I got my job through an Actors. I wouldn't necessarily have one without it, because you meet so many business advisors, and there's so many companies that are partnered with an Actors that actually it's almost silly if you don't join, in the sense that like you have so many
such a big networking.
So obviously I only joined, I was only there for second year, not even on a project, and even that's helped me massively in getting a marketing job.
Well, you ended up doing quite a lot of extracurricular stuff, because obviously you were the president of the Marketing Society as well, for your final year, and also did lots of, you did the Sustainable Business Award and the IDM and MRS,
definitely. And it's all these things that I think just help. I mean, I never really did it just for my CV. I think it was always a bit more like I was actually interested and I wanted to, but obviously I was also thinking, okay, well, it's extra experience that will look good on my CV, rather than just sort of, plodding along. And also, like, if you're not massively enjoying your course, for me, I was really enjoying my course, but if you're not, like, at uni, it's great because you can go into so many different areas. Like, you can join different societies, you can find a different passion, and it can also help you later on if you're thinking, I don't know necessarily if I want to carry on my career in marketing, but I've got this experience in project management from an Actis, or sustainable development, which we did. And, it's all of that can say, I have actually got experience in it, even though it wasn't a job where I was getting paid. I've got that experience. So good.
It sounds like a great opportunity, and you'd certainly made the most of your time at university. Going back to BIC and the FMCG market, and you've kind of touched on it before about the differences in the product, and how you were, you're far more kind of interested in what you're doing now than you were maybe necessarily to the kind of more B2B IT side of things that you were doing at Hewlett Packard. And I guess my question is about what is it like? What would you say some of the things, the characteristics are, in terms of when you're working for the lighters and shavers and things like that? What does
the role entail?
What does it entail, and what? Sure.
So essentially, I went in and was a bit like, I'm not really sure what to expect, but the main role that I'm doing now is, and it's evolved a lot, so I've been there for just under a year, but a lot of marketing roles, and it kind of like, they were kind of similar from my previous on placement. It's basically a lot of campaign management. Obviously I'm the marketing executive, so I'm not a management level at all, but I've sort of had that responsibility from seeing a project initially starting off all the way through to production and completion. I think what I really enjoy about the role is that I've had a really hands-on experience of seeing a product, like the initial concept. So for new product development, we just created these plastic bags the previous product was a plastic bag, and we're now transitioning to a shelf-ready packaged box. And it's straight away you'd think, is that because of sustainable reasons? But actually, that wasn't. It was because we couldn't continue the product in plastic bags because it cost too much to have the person in the factory putting them into the bags. So that was the issue. And then we've come up with a solution, which is the shelf ready packages, SRPs they're called, and seeing it through to production. So it's essentially just like managing projects. I brief a lot of creatives into the agencies. So if we've got a display unit that wants to go into store, then I'll brief them on what exactly we want, and then they'll send it back to the creative, and I would say this needs tweaking, or it's great. Budget management. So I'm absolutely awful at numbers. I've never been good at maths, but actually I think placement experience helped with this, but
yeah,
loads of Excel. I do a lot of Excel work and a lot of just very basic Excel work.
yeah,
And keeping an eye on budgets and making sure that we're not going over the spend,
sure.
and also making sure we're utilizing it fully.
I think that's a good point, in terms of, because a lot of people see marketing and they think there isn't going to be much numbers, or it won't necessarily be numbers orientated. But
yeah,
I think it's important to note, if you're going into marketing, there will be some kind of financial skills that people are going to ask for.
Definitely. And there's actually a lot more than what I thought there would be. I think it also depends on the role. So like maybe a creative design role wouldn't really have much. I don't know. I've never experienced that. But for a marketing exec role, I know it does involve, because you've got to keep an eye on the budgets. You've got to keep an eye on, you've got to track the marketing activity. And it's not necessarily the most enjoyable role for me, as in the tracking of it. Actually, you find an interest in it because you can see actually, has it hit the target audience? Has it reached enough people? And it's kind of finding the interest in it. But there's so much help as well online with that, because I did used to struggle with it a lot.
I think it's kind of different horses for different courses. I mean, like, some people really love that stuff. Like, I don't mind the tracking stuff, and I could see, you know, some people are more kind of orientated to do some of the more data side of marketing, and some people better towards the management and the campaigns, things like that, and some people are more creative oriented.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, it's kind of got to be done, like it's part of the role, the tracking of marketing campaigns and stuff. And learning to do pivot tables. I
love a good
my life. But it's all good once you get used to it.
Exactly. It's just time. So so you're working for BIC at the moment. Are you working from home in the Isle of, do you say you're based in the Isle of Wight?
Isle of Wight. Okay. So
that's very remote.
It's very remote. It sounds more remote than what it probably is, but it is remote. It's not quite as old-fashioned as I think a lot of people think it is. But so I was living in London whilst being at BIC, but I've come back home because I had a box room basically in London. It was a shared accommodation, which I got through spareroom.com, and it was actually I found a really good like housemate. So we've had that side of things, like you don't think about when you're getting a job. You've got to look for like the house and everything else. So I was living in London, come back to the Isle of Wight, and I was still paying my rent in London, but actually we're not going to be going back to the office for quite a while, I think, so still. Now I'm back in the Isle of Wight. I'm not needed to go back. So I've got my setup here. The company have paid for a double screen, which is really really lucky. And it's actually, I'm actually quite enjoying it. It's nice to be around the family a bit more. Whereas obviously I don't really see them that much when I'm back up in London. So.
No, there are certainly a lot of advantages with kind of working from home and working remotely. And from who I've been speaking to in it seems like, you know, it's going to be you know, we're going to be like in this situation for a while, so might as well make the most of it. And,
definitely. I think a lot of companies aren't explicitly saying it, but they're sort of waiting for a second peak, and they are, you know, legally, if you went into the office and then you got the virus and you got really ill, died even, it would be awful. So there's so many things they've got to think about. So we've adapted. I think it's quite easy to adapt when you're already in an office job, to work from home. It can be hard, and it's sometimes hard as well because you feel like I don't always feel like I'm taking as much breaks because you haven't got that split from home and work.
Exactly. You don't know how much you can kind of I see what you mean. I think it would be hard as well for people just starting jobs as well, where really they need to be trained up, and you probably won't get as much contact hours to do that. I guess?
I think I know quite a few. So I know two people that have started a new job during the pandemic, and obviously it's hard enough when you start a new job, like not knowing people and like not knowing what's going on. But
yeah,
so much more harder, because I feel like as well with over Skype and Microsoft Teams, you just don't get, when people don't have the videos on in particular, you don't get the visual cue, and you don't get that kind of personality come through just a phone call and all of that. And the role's completely new, so you don't, I feel like it's a lot harder to be asking questions when you've got to ping someone all the time. Whereas when you're in the office and you got them next to you, you can just be like, oh, can you help me with this? So I can't complain at all. Like, it must be very, very hard for people. But I think everyone's going through it, so
exactly,
hopefully together we'll get through.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so my last kind of question is about whether you have any kind of advice or tips for people looking into kind of going into marketing after graduating at university. And I mean, you've obviously already covered kind of a load of things that will be really useful, but I just wondered if you had any and specifically about the FMCG market, because I'm sure there's a lot of people considering that area of industry.
Yeah, definitely. I think the main thing is, when you're looking for a job, it can be really demoralizing. And before I did actually apply for BIC, I didn't actually mention this, but I had applied for other ones. You don't hear back, or you don't know if you're on track. I think you've just got to remember that, like, no one really knows what they're doing. And someone told me that once, and it resonated with me. Like, no one really knows what they're doing. Everyone's kind of faking it, but everyone's learning. So you just got to keep you've got to not overthink it, and just sort of keep going and thinking, okay, well, don't be beaten down. Like, everyone's gone through the same thing when it comes to job search, and no one really likes it. I don't know anyone really that actually enjoys having to write why you're good for the job. It's a long and lengthy process. And you've just got to stick at it. I think do your research, and don't just send out like it's easy. And I've got into the routine sometimes of just clicking attach CV and not really actually editing it to the company you're applying for. And it does make like a huge difference, even if you spend 5 minutes just picking out a few keywords and tailoring it to them. I think also an important thing is, especially with FMCG, it's so diverse. There's so many different the companies, different products you get into. Is trying to think about, okay, are you interested in what they're selling? Because it might be a beauty product, it might be clothing or something completely different. But if you're not actually interested in that product, it can make a huge difference in how you perform in your job and how you actually progress. And it'd be hard to get out of a job once you're in it. Obviously, it's great to have a job, but you want to be happy.
So go for what you want, I guess. And
I know also, like, it is good to just hand out your CV and get the interview experience. But like, no doubt in like trying and get any job you can, but especially at the moment. But if you can be a bit picky, and you can sort of be a bit more like, well, I want this job, but I don't want it as much as this one. You've just got to think, try and zone in and think, what do I want to progress in as a career? Do I want to learn about this more? Do I want to do this more? Or do I want to do something that's a different product? I hope that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. That's actually really useful. I hadn't really especially the thing about when you said no one really knows what they're doing, is it kind of gives you a bit more confidence going into it, kind of just being aware that you're probably on a similar level to how everyone else is
completely. And actually, like, I've noticed it in the workplace. Like, sometimes I've asked people, like, how do you, like, do you know this for a fact? And they're like, no, but like, no one does. And we're all learning, and it's the smartest thing I can think of in the moment. So, it's most likely the correct answer. So just try and be confident with your stuff, and and try and look for something that you really think you're going to enjoy. But also, if you don't know, then you just got to experience different things and try anything you can.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Laura. I really appreciate your time coming on.
That's all right.
And
I hope it was slightly useful.
Oh, 100%. No, it was great. So thank you so much. Cool. Okay.
That's all right. Thanks. Good luck with everything.
Cheers. Thank you.